Hey everyone, my name is Justin Havey. I'm the founder and CEO of Vandyl, and welcome to our first ever episode of the Vandyl Podcast. Today I'm joined by our creative director and lead designer, Audrey, and our head of content, Xavier. So we are also joined by our dog, Rocky. So if you guys happen to hear anything in the background, 99% chance it comes from him.
Yeah, stick around to the end of the episode for a little dog ASMR and a photo. People like dog pics, right?
Photo op.
They do.
Yeah.
We're not promising the ASMR. No, I guess
it's pretty much guaranteed.
We can do it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So for the most part, this podcast is essentially going to center around Vandyl itself. I think in the future, we are going to try to bring some guests on from both the gaming and content spaces. And maybe even a couple of surprise spaces in the future. But I think for this first episode, we're really going to focus on Vandyl, what we've been up to, the creation of the brand, the business, and what we're looking to do in the future. So without further ado, guys, it's been 2 weeks since we've launched. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's kind of surreal being here at this point.
It doesn't feel like 2 weeks.
It really doesn't.
No.
I don't even know if it's officially 2 weeks. I think
As of yesterday.
As of yesterday, it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
To be honest, it doesn't even feel like we launched, right? So we released all the stuff we've been working on, but we've been working on it for so long that we launched in my mind when we started working on it, you know?
It's
almost a little anticlimactic in a way. Like it was, but like
in a weird way. But don't get us wrong.
Right.
All the response that we got from the initial launch, the video that we put out, and all the responses we've been getting have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've been super happy with the way things went. And to anyone who's been following at least me for the last year, you know how long we've been working on this thing. I can't remember the exact date. I think it was either late March or early April that we kind of first came up with the concept of Vandyl. And by we, I mean Audrey and myself. And those were early days in my apartment, just trying to figure out like, what would be something really incredible that we can do that we both, would be extremely passionate about. We've always wanted to do. This has been a passion project for me since I was a young kid playing video games. So to actually see it come to fruition is overwhelming, to say the least. And I knew when we approached Xavier, and Xavier was on board with it really early on, that we were going to be able to create something super special, especially from a content side and a creative side, seeing as how that's what our backgrounds are all in.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, do you want to give everyone kind of our individual backgrounds? Because I feel like that's kind of where this all started, is just us having the skills that we have and wanting to do something in this space that not a lot of people are trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's actually start with Audrey. So yes.
She's our cash cow.
Personally, in my humble opinion, backbone of Vandyl, right?
Absolutely.
Because, you'll find out more about us later, but Xavier and I come from a video. Xavier comes from an audio background, mainly video production, editing, shooting, at least for the last 5 years or so for both of our careers. But Audrey possesses an extremely special talent of having one of the best eyes for design, illustration, typography, animation, you name it. And as many people know, starting a brand isn't easy. And a lot of that starts with the initial design element. So yeah, I think Audrey should absolutely be the first one to kind of talk about her background.
Oh man, yeah. So that's kind of the thing. I've always been a designer. I went to CCAD for advertising, graphic design, and everything. And it's interesting because I was always interested in entertainment, and I didn't know in what fashion or what form. And especially at the time when I was in art school, they didn't talk about gaming. It wasn't really a thing. I was always interested in it, always watched streamers and stuff like that, but entertainment in general just wasn't like a thing. I mean, I don't know. Everyone was so interested in like branding coffee shops, and no shade to that or anything. To each their own, obviously.
Art school.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So and like UX UI and stuff. So like to each their own. But I don't know. There was just something different. And so yeah, when Justin and I were talking about this, it was just like the ultimate passion project for me too, and it was like the perfect way to meld all of these interests and everything that I have when it comes to like 2D design, 3D illustration, type, all of those things, and wanting to experiment with all that stuff. I thought this was like the perfect way to meld all those things and challenge myself too, and just see like what we could make from this from the ground up. So.
Yeah, and just so you all know, everything that you've seen from Vandyl, except for the live action video that we released, was made from scratch by her. Point blank. She is Vandyl. She made everything.
Which is insane. And I do want to piggyback off of that with Audrey being Vandyl.
Guys, please.
Legitimately, we're going to not live that line down for at least a couple months, but that's probably going to be our new Twitter banner is
I am Vandyl.
I am Vandyl.
Hear me roar.
We have to change our banners to Audrey.
It's all just her
she
face.
is Vandyl.
All over print shirts of just her face.
Just my face, yeah. I like that. I am Master Chief.
Yeah. Whoa, spoilers. Whoa. Oh, wait, we already told people. That's okay. But I completely agree. I mean, I think one thing early on, and we can get deeper into this in a minute, is we wanted to have a really strong visual identity, right? That stood out in the gaming space, but also the content space in general. And I think that's where I personally want to touch on for a little bit is the content side of what we do. And as you can hear right now, I'm sure our dog is going bonkers on
going ham on that rubber ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Xavier and I worked together for a while, a couple of years.
At least 2 or 3, yeah.
At the same company that, funny enough, Audrey also worked at.
I was an intern there.
Yeah, she interned for us. She was our intern, and now she's the whole brand.
And now we beg her to do things.
Yeah. She's the queen.
But yeah, Xavier, just kind of talk about your background and, not just from content, but your background with gaming and then, us working together into what is now Vandyl.
Yeah. So my skill set, I went to school to a liberal arts college in Columbus called Capital University for music technology, which is like recording arts, live recordings, things like that. But I had a film minor, which I added late into college because I started making music videos for the band that I was in. And I'm not going to tell you the name of that band. Actually, I can't even find anything online, so they must have taken all of it down anyway. That's how I got into video. And so when I graduated, I was kind of burnt on the whole, like, the trajectory for a lot of people when they come out of school for music technology or something similar is they want to go work at a studio. Everybody just wants to own a studio or work at a studio. And I was just really burnt on that idea. I pursued video instead. I ended up getting an internship at Space Junk Media. And then I loved it there. I loved all the people that I was meeting. I was learning so much because I had never been in a professional environment like that. And I think a lot of people, if you know the Columbus scene, you know that Space Junk is kind of, I don't want to say a unicorn, but they're like pretty high end stuff for the scene.
I think if they're not they're definitely a unicorn. I would say that's a good.
Space Junk specializes in integrating animation and 3D stuff into live action, which is that's uncommon in the Midwest everywhere. In general. Yeah, like even Chicago, that's like not a lot of shops do everything like that. So it was a privilege to work there. And Justin still works there, so we love Space Junk. Yeah, they're great.
It's a great studio.
Yeah. So I interned there for a year, and then I ended up working there for 4 years, full time, and learned everything that I know about the industry and filmmaking and all that stuff from the people who work there. And then an opportunity arose at wait for it, Major League Gaming. Which not a lot of people know. They were based here in Columbus. This is where the studio was, where they did all of the WoW events. They did all of the Call of Duty World League stuff, which is what I worked on. I was a video editor for the last season of Call of Duty World League. RIP.
RIP, man.
Yeah, right before they franchised and did the whole CDL thing, I was in for the last tail end of that, and it was amazing. I had done a few events with them before as a freelance editor. I did some the WoW MDI tournament one year, and things like that, and it was always so much fun. I love gaming. I grew up playing, the staples, Crash Bandicoot, Melee, things like that. And then I fell off of gaming for a really long time because I was an athlete, and then I went to college and couldn't afford a console and the normal stuff. Yeah. And so when I had that opportunity, I was like, yes, I love where esports is going. I want to be a part of it. And so I jumped at the chance. And then when it all got moved out to LA and stuff, I obviously stayed here and went full-time freelance. So now I'm a full-time freelance editor and colorist here in Columbus. And I still get to work with the MLG peeps. A lot of them stayed and made Esports Engine, which if you're not supporting Esports Engine, you're making a huge mistake because they're changing everything about esports.
So I think early on for us, Columbus kind of uniquely positioned us because there was so much history with gaming and esports with the city of Columbus between MLG, now Esports Engine, eFuse Official. Like there's a lot of really great startups and established gaming brands, specifically in esports, that are kind of on the rise here in Columbus. And I think there wasn't I don't think people really thought of Columbus as this gaming city. And I think now it's in people's mind like, oh shit, there's like what used to be MLG is now in Columbus. Like there is no doubt Columbus is going to hold some major events. Now don't hold me to that, but I would assume with Esports Engine being here, you're going to see Halo events here. You're going to see COD events here.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope I don't see why not. And Columbus
did when they were MLG, so why wouldn't they when they're Esports Engine?
Yeah, I mean, Columbus was a staple, you know, especially in the Halo circuit. And so I think for us, it just made sense to kind of lean into that Columbus side of what we were doing here. And so Vandyl was born and kind of bred within this, Columbus mindset. I think from the early days, that was something we were talking about. It wasn't going to just be this like typical global, you have to start somewhere, it's like hit your local market, at least say it's North America for the time being. And then you can try to reach out and get region. The European and South Asia, you know what I mean? Then you can do that. But yeah, I think it was always Columbus for us.
Yeah, I think the three of us specifically are so heavily ingrained in the art world and the entertainment world here that there was no other answer. Like everyone we love to work with is here. So let's start here and make the coolest stuff we can make and really like solidify our position in the market. And then let's go get the rest of the world. You know, I truly believe that we can do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially us being kind of the first at the scene too, with everything coming up and being the first kind of Columbus known org and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are other orgs here. No shade at all. I mean, we're probably going to look to work with these organizations to some degree. We are coming for you. That's true. But at the same time, we understand what it means to work together. But I think, it was the right move for us all along. And, you have to start somewhere.
So let's set the record straight, because the question we've been getting a lot since launch is, well, what is it? Because of the way we rolled out, which was the intention, believe it or not.
Yeah, it was.
So let's just get it all out in the open. Justin, tell the people what Vandyl is.
So one of the key things that we saw very early on, and the reason we even started it, right? This was, from my perspective, day one, what I noticed was I was honestly sick of 99% of the content being produced inside of gaming. And that was just, for me, someone who is, as Xavier said, heavily ingrained in the arts, entertainment. I work in it. I understand production. So when I'm seeing something, I'm going, they could have pushed the boundaries a little more on that. Yeah. Or why are we just doing team house content day after day? Who can make a pair of socks into the laundry basket?
It's basically like becoming just everyone's a YouTuber and like gaming like the teams are being forced to do these YouTube challenges, which has nothing to do with what they actually do as pro gamers.
And here's where it bothered me, where these orgs are paying a shit ton of money to have full-time, huge, talented crews, staff.
Very talented crews.
To do this, what I consider bullshit content. And I said, well, I know if I ran an org, there is absolutely no way that would be what we heavily lean into. Is it fun? Is it cool content? You can do it every now and then? Sure. But where is the original? Where's the originality?
Storytelling.
Where's the storytelling exactly? Where are the esports documentaries? Where inside looks of heartbreak after a loss? Where is, animation pieces. There are some super talented 3D artists and animators out there in the gaming space. Why are they not being, pushed to the forefront? And so from day one, my passion behind this was the content, and I knew we could do the esports side well. That as long as we produce the right content, we could always lean into the gaming side of things.
And we can attract the talent that we want to work with as well.
So ultimately, I look at Vandyl as a disruptor in the space, right? And I know that word gets tossed around all the time, and everyone's a disruptor, except no one's actually disrupting anything. And I think Vandyl, our entire purpose is, most esports orgs today feel like they're this exclusive members-only club where when you finally get to join, you can put your members-only jacket on and you can come into your mansion and hang out with all your other rich friends. And to us, that is not what gaming was ever about. Gaming was about the passion of it, the storytelling of it, the competitive nature of it. And overall, we wanted to write a story, and so Vandyl was born. And so I think through our content and then eventually our talent and our teams, we're going to write a really interesting story that's never, in my mind, been done before in the gaming space.
And to be fair, there is content like what we're talking about out there. Orgs have done things like that, but there isn't an org with a mission like that. There isn't an org that is focused on doing that sort of thing in this space. And like we being a part of the community that we're part of, like we look at A24 films, like IFC, places in the indie film space that are kind of taking that same approach where it's like, we just want to make stuff that we really enjoy
and care about
with the coolest stories, with the coolest crews to work with. And if you like it, you like it. That's great. And you will because it's good.
Right. So true.
Yeah, I think a way to look at us is we're kind of like this rough around the edges indie gaming organization. Yeah. You have Paramount. Yeah. They produce some cool blockbuster films. And then you have A24 that are putting out content that is meaningful and people love and are winning awards.
Oscar-winning
looking forward
films.
to it.
Yeah, you look forward. You glue your eyes to the screen. You put those fucking push notifications on when A24 tweets because you want to see what they're working on. Because they make stuff that people can relate to and that people can get behind and they're passionate about. Paramount makes some cool shit, for sure.
Yeah.
But, do you really, cry about Transformers and you have to see every
I do.
tweet? Okay. True. And, okay.
Shia LaBeouf.
Okay. But did you cry harder at Transformers or Fury? Or Honey Boy? One of his better films. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just throwing it up.
Well, I think what you're getting at is there's really no... With A24 or a smaller indie shop that's doing something like that, you can really feel the care and you can tell that this project meant a lot to someone. With those big movies that are franchise movies where there's 7, 8 of the same title, they're just movies. They're just entertainment, which is great. Sure. I like those movies. I enjoy them, but that's all they are is entertainment to me. There's no sense of ownership. When you watch an A24 film, you're invested. You become a fan of the character. You become a fan of this, and it happens immediately. And I think that's what we're going for is we want to build a community of people who think the same way. We're not just making shit for you to watch one day and then never come back to it.
Right. Yeah, quality over quantity for sure. Yeah, I think the word that I keep coming back to personally, from day one, is intention, making everything that we do with intention. And you can definitely see what that looks like from an outside perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think from what Xavier was talking about, and kind of leaning on what Audrey's saying, is we absolutely knew that when we created the name Vandyl and the meaning behind it and what that could represent, that we can't just name ourselves that and say we're going to produce really good content. It had to start from the ground floor, which had to be our visual identity. And that's where Audrey came in and absolutely blew us away. Because let me tell you, the first iteration of our logo, which was a question someone asked, I sketched out and had the idea for, and Audrey designed
We'll show them to you one day.
Audrey designed it. One day, yeah.
Follow us on Twitter if you want to see that. It'll happen eventually.
Yeah, drop a follow. Follow us on Instagram too, because that's where a lot of our random visuals may end stuff, up. And the more artistic side of us will most likely live on Instagram. But the early iteration of the Vandyl V, if that's what you want to call it, was completely different. Completely.
As it always is. I mean, that's how it always is. Yeah.
But it was way more playful. It was a little more childish. And I was so on board with it. And then Audrey showed me a bunch of sketches she had came up with. And I remember we were actually sitting on a table that you can't see. And we were just looking through it. And I was like, hey, that's a really interesting
We were
concept.
both looking at the same one. And we both said that, like, I'm looking at one right now that I'm drawn to. That I think that's it. And we both saw the same thing. And the rest is history. Yeah.
And now you have this, you know, so yeah, I mean, I think all of what we're saying, our mission, everything we say can be found within our visual identity, if you agree with kind of that sentiment.
So for those who don't know what that process is like how to create a visual identities, can you take us through like how the logo came to be?
Yeah. Rewinding a little bit. It really started with the name first and foremost, for sure. And I remember we kind of had like an ongoing kind of list of names and trying to figure out what the history, like if there were a history to each name and the story behind it, and trying to create some kind of meaning that we could run with for the future, kind of setting up that foundation based off of the name. And then when it kind of was narrowed down to Vandyl, we felt good about that, how it was spelled, like what that meant in a historical sense, and just moving forward, that kind of thing. And then, determining whether the logo was going to be like the V or if it was going to be a symbol of some kind or like the full name, all that stuff. And then, from that, it was just like sketching, just a lot of sketches and just like anything that came to mind, put it down, even if it was garbage, which there was a lot of. So like we both kind of did our own passive, what are you laughing
When
at?
Audrey says,
Calls it garbage.
when Audrey says what
They were like
she,
fully formed logos.
garbage,
Whatever.
what she means is what
Not as
95% of designers strive to be and most brands want. And she's just like, that's dog shit. And I'm like, okay, I'd get that tattooed on me, but whatever.
It's actually kind of funny because the logo that we threw away before this one was like full scale, could have been an energy drink company like tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Was fully formed that
Almost
way.
branded,
or,
yeah.
or like a really crazy
Like a paintball team.
team or a
Something extreme.
motorcycle club or
Something
something.
You
extreme.
run with that. Just imagine what we're describing. It was great. It was awesome. It just wasn't right for what we were doing.
And that's another good point too, is like we played with color a lot and trying to imagine like what this brand and what this mission is and like all the foundational things was and like what color would we associate with that. And we played with, I know green was kind of at the forefront, and then there was really hot acidic green. And we're like, we don't want to be Monster Energy or Nickelodeon or anything like that. And all those kind of things, and just trying to get initial feedback from like Xavier and just fresh eyes, even his brothers too. We did that a lot. And there was a lot of like drawing, taking a breather, and looking away from it for a bit too. I think that helped us a lot because I'll never forget the Vandyl logo that we have today. It was initially in like the first round of sketches, but like we just kind of like passed it off and was like, I don't know, like it's something, but like it really wasn't in the forefront at all. And then a couple months later, when we like really sat down again to like look at stuff and was like okay, like what says Vandyl to us? Like, do we have to start over again with this, or is there something here? And at that point too, when we were messing with, Vandyl's messaging and stuff, and we kept coming back to, being born in the shadows and something like blank in the shadows. And then that's where it was like, oh shit, and we saw that with the mark that we have now, where literally the logo is formed from the shadows of a V itself and from the font that is kind of like our brand font. So,
and we had played with hidden in plain sight as well as one of our brand messaging things is like, there's Vandyls all around you. Mm-hmm. You just don't see them.
Right.
They blend in. Those are our people, the people who are passionate about things, art and culture and gaming at its core. Those are our people, and they're hidden in plain sight. They're among you. You're probably one of them. And that's who we were going after. And our logo is literally, a lot of people look at it and they go, that's a really cool mark. And I go,
it's like two shapes.
Yeah, it is.
Very angular.
Do you see it? Like, that's what I always like. You saw it, right? Because when Audrey, I think when you first designed it, to us, it was just a V. Right. It wasn't a mark. It was just a V because we saw it. Our minds were in that mindset.
Once you saw it, you could not unsee it.
I don't know, 2 months before we came back to those? I'd say we were running with that
because
green
we were
logo
also in
for
the
a while.
process of moving too. Yeah, we were in the process of moving. We took a breather from it and we came back to it because we were like, we need to like push forward on the branding of stuff. But I was like, we need to have the logo though. And in my mind, like I needed the logo to move forward and figure out what everything else around that kind of evolved. And yeah, it was a total light bulb moment. And that's what you want when you're looking for a logo and designing a logo, is that light bulb moment. And you just feel really good about it. And from there, we never looked back. So
yeah, absolutely.
it's great.
It wasn't long after this logo was finished and accepted, that you created like a whole deck, a whole book.
It was the day after.
Yeah, it was so quick. After she had that, it was like off to the races, and so much concept art and all these things just started coming out, and I was like, what is
It
going
couldn't
on?
stop. I know. It was a lot, but I remember I had that day off the next day after we like finalized the logo, and it was like, okay, like go on, do your thing. And I remember he didn't even see anything I did until like the night of, and I'd worked like a full day on just style frames and just photoshopping like whatever was coming to my head. But
And a lot of those style frames kind of morphed into what you see on our Twitter banner and our social banners individually and stuff. That's what came of that.
Xavier just reminded me of something, and I'm going to come back to that. But when I say that I was like floored, like, you know, when you see something in your brain, we were just talking about this off camera, but something totally different, but your brain will see something and you can't process it because it doesn't seem physically possible, right? It almost seems inhuman, right? And she's shaking her head at me, but that's seriously, she goes, hey, I want to show you something. And I come downstairs, and it had maybe been, I don't know, it was a short amount of time. And I have my background is in advertising and design. That's what I went to school for. I just got into the video space. So I understand the process. And I come downstairs and she shows me this, what we call a style frame. And I'm like, that's so sick. It was incredible. It was right on brand. And then I kind of look over and realize there's an entire deck here that scrolls. And
like
she just
15
starts
pages.
15 plus.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, at page after page, it kept getting better and better and better. And then she showed me some stuff with Halo involvement. And I was like, holy shit. And it was just a waterfall of this
potential.
Mind, yeah. And to what Xavier said, our Twitter banners on the Vandyl page itself is an original, one of the very first style frames probably we ever saw that she created, and we never went away from it because it fit the brand so well.
Yeah, we haven't strayed away from that really since. I mean, it set the precedent.
Yeah, and that she created the visual language for everything that we did after that. So the launch video really, like, to me, has that style, has that the same vocabulary as the style frames that you created. And so without that, that's like, we wouldn't have done anything else after that if she hadn't done those style frames.
Yeah, it's definitely necessary.
It's the foundation to everything we did. Everything we're doing and everything we're going to do is built on that foundation, right? And that mission and that kind of thing. And then leading into the launch video, that was its entirely own endeavor. Newsflash, there is a pandemic currently going on.
What?
And if you know anything about that and what's going on with that, it's extremely difficult to get a group of people together, nearly impossible. And for us, we were no outlier in that. We didn't have this super smooth shoot. We actually, if you've been following me personally, we were meant to launch Vandyl early December of 2020.
That was the goal. Yeah.
That was the goal. And up to launch video talk, we were on track. We were like, holy shit, we can announce it because we feel so good that we're going to knock it out of the park, and come December, we're going to have something. And boy, was that naive, because logistically a nightmare, top to bottom, as it should be during a global pandemic.
If you've ever done a live action shoot of any kind, you know that Murphy's Law is just a thing on set.
Absolutely.
Like, everything that can go wrong is going to, and add COVID on top of that. Oh my God, we couldn't even get to set. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so quickly we can talk about what the process is, because
It's a whole other
I can't
discussion.
remember if
We'll do a whole podcast about
right.
the launch video and really break it down for you guys, but it's a whole thing.
Yeah, and I think we are actually planning, and this isn't like we can break it here, guys. Holy shit! But I think we are planning to do a more in-depth BTS of that launch video. So you'll see some of the concept art behind it, the storyboards, our process. We all kind of recorded as we went, the location scout, all of that good stuff, photos involved on set, some VFX, some sound breakdowns, that kind of stuff. So I know people were asking like, how did you do this? How did you do that? Well, we can show you how we did all of that in a future video.
In time.
But let's just talk about, Audrey and I spent some time working on the initial idea. We took it to Xavier. Xavier was on board with it. He was like, this sounds good to me. We then brainstormed it further. How can we push it? We made this huge. I remember Xavier actually saying to me, this is too much.
Yeah.
We can't do this. And I went, okay. And then we went back to the drawing board and I said, I'm not going to eliminate the idea. I'm just going to find a way to reel it back. And I went back to Xavier and Xavier was still kind of like, I still don't know if we can do this. He's like, okay, you lost a location and added something. And that
took out like 3 frames of the storyboard.
Right.
It wasn't like that big of a change.
I'm pretty sure. So this is actually a true story. Initially, we had more locations. We were going to do more. As you can see in the video, there are trials that this character is going through. And initially, there were more locations that were trial-specific locations. And Xavier, rightfully so, thank God, said, we need to reel that back and maybe do like a location or 2. Luckily, we found a location that we could essentially do a couple trials within and make it look different from one another. Huge space, awesome space, another day.
Perfect for Vandyl.
Perfect for us. Yeah,
we'll tell you more about that later.
The location fit Vandyl.
Yes.
And so then we take it back to Xavier. Here's a caveat. Audrey and I, during our inspiration of it, found a video that blew me away. One of my favorite videos, I think, to date that I've ever watched, that had a sequence where this character, in a similar fashion, it had dealt with death, but he comes across this monster, and this monster is trying to engulf him in this, like, smoky ash,
entity,
right? This entity is taking him over. And I said, I want us to do that.
I want that.
And so in my mind, I went, well, Xavier made me cut like 3 or 4 shots. I'm going to add this crazy VFX shot in, even though none of us are VFX artists.
No, none of us do that.
And I go back to him and he goes, okay. And that was it. And we decided to run with it. Because of the help of some absolutely incredibly talented people.
And
we were able
friends.
to, great friends. We were able to pull this thing off. Again, more detail soon, but just want to high level tell you, from our standpoint, this was scrappy.
Oh
right?
my God.
This
Definition.
was very, believe it or not, cheaply made and done in the most insane time restriction you could possibly imagine for the scope that we were trying to pull off. And yeah, I mean, I'm
really proud of it.
Oh, yeah, me
I
too.
really love how it came out. Yeah, and if you look at the original storyboards that you guys sent me, it's like, it's not anything as ambitious as what we wanted to do. But I think it really came out nicely, and we're proud of it, which is the most important thing. And the process of it is totally in line with the rest of the Vandyl story, right? Like, we're doing this during a pandemic. It's scrappy. It's taking it down to just the core of what we wanted it to be, and to appeal to a very specific group of people who identify with that sort of vibe. And I think we accomplished that goal.
absolutely,
Especially just based on the response that we were getting online.
Yeah. Yeah. The amount
The
of
right
entry.
people were chiming in, and I didn't hear anything negative other than the fact that it had no information in it. But we'll get the information.
Yeah. No.
It's coming.
Yeah.
well, let's talk about that, because that was again, transparency. That was a conscious decision.
Yeah, we did that on purpose.
And a risk.
That was on
Yeah.
purpose.
And a risk, a calculated risk. And we literally, as a team, sat down and said, we have 2 options. We spell out what we are and who we are to people, or we make things a little more abstract, a little more artistic.
Up for interpretation.
And leave it up to interpretation. And people then can identify with it however they want. And we're not telling you who to be or what to be. We're saying you can be whatever you want. We're inviting you to be that. And I think that was really interesting. And I think the reason it confused so many people is because this isn't typical in the gaming space. Most people are like, introducing Vandyl. Yeah. We are a couple of gamers.
Insert shot.
Yeah, insert shot. And he's like hard looking at the camera, but like, he plays League and he feels really uncomfortable.
G Fuel Energy.
Yeah. G Fuel.
Yeah, like
get
all
cracked.
The traditional things.
And we decided we didn't want to do that. We wanted to immediately lean into a storytelling aspect, leaving things up to interpretation, and the messaging being, again, hidden in the shadows. You have to kind of look for it. And we were okay with it not having any real meaning other than what you found it to be for you. And I thought that was really special. And yeah, for what we had in front of us in the task at hand, I'm super proud of it. We did get people who were like, I love this, but I'm confused. And again, that was intentional.
It was part of the risk that we were going to take. And we were ready for that to a point. Like, we have a lot of announcements coming up, stuff that we can't say just yet. But when we do say it, I think it's all going to make sense, and it will have been worth it. So stick with us. Just stick with us.
Yeah, I think that was the other thing, right? So we launch it. The video is getting really good reviews from this is awesome quality. Love the story. Man, the VFX are cool. The sound design's really nice in here. It's well shot. Like, very cool, very cool. And we did get the what exactly are you guys going to be tackling immediately? And we, again, had another conversation and said, do we just tell people right now? And again, we said, fuck that. Let's let it roll out over time and build a core audience. And I think that's what we've been doing. And obviously, hopefully you've seen it. If not, we announced that we are absolutely entering the Halo space. Yes. And that got some insane traction for us. And if that doesn't spell out to you that we are a gaming organization at heart, I don't really know what else will. Yeah. And I think, again, if you look back at that Halo graphic and what Audrey created, it is just Vandyl to a T. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think people immediately were drawn to the visual of it, and then they were drawn to the Halo aspect of it, and now there's intrigue there. Well, to what extent are we entering the Halo scene? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to tell you. I can tell you that we ultimately, I will say this because this has been a request, and I do just want to put this on the table. It is highly unlikely we are looking to enter the competitive Halo space currently. And what I mean by that is I know there are ongoing Halo 3 and Halo 5 tournaments. We as Vandyl think there are other opportunities within the Halo space we can explore. I will not go into detail of what those are, but those announcements are very soon.
Very soon.
And so with that, we are absolutely eyes set on Infinite. And from there, we want to build our Halo foundation and then look for a competitive team to enter Infinite. So I can't tell you that much, but I've gotten a ton of, hey, are you looking for a competitive roster? Yeah, not right now.
Yeah.
So please stick with us, follow us, keep up to date. Hell, that may change. We don't know. But as of this current day, I don't even know what day it is. The answer is no currently, but we are absolutely entering the Halo space just from different angles.
I think there's a little bit of skepticism from the community and from people who are outside the community too, that we're even a gaming org. We're just approaching it a totally different way for all of the reasons that we outlined before we got to this point. We want to do it our way, and we don't want to get tripped up in if you follow esports at all, you know orgs pop up and die every week. There's new orgs, there's new teams, there's this player went to that team and this player did this, and we just don't want to deal with that right now. We're doing what we're doing because we want to do it this way, and because we're going to toot our own horn. We're good at it. That's that's the world we live in, and if we can make the dopest shit right now, we're going to focus on doing that and not get tripped up by everything else.
Yep, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, kind of banking on that, I am kind of going off a couple of you guys and really appreciate it. We set the question out there of what do you guys want to hear from us? And I do want to pull a couple of those up because I think they're really good talking points for the team. Mm-hmm. So let me pull Twitter up. I already have it up. So I think these can go by as kind of like a bullet round, kind of. Yeah. We can get in depth if we want to go there, but plans to support a local Halo scene. Plans to support the local scene, period. Not sure if it's the local Halo scene, Columbus. I think we're looking to support the local scene and support the Halo scene. Whether those two things cross, who knows? If there's a dope Infinite team here in Columbus, we will definitely be looking at you because that's convenient. Roster announcements, not likely in the near future. Official website. Yes, the official website is going to launch with a what?
What?
With the what?
I don't know if we've actually told anyone this or not.
Probably not. You have all the knowledge.
Yeah,
I don't even know what
I
you're
don't
talking
want to
about.
spoil anything.
Why don't you
on
tell us,
accident.
Justin?
Yeah, right.
Shit.
Do you know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to think if there. Yeah. Okay, we did. We 100% did. The website's gonna launch with a. with a merch store. Okay, so it's gonna. We are building that out. Which was another question. Okay, wait. I almost tripped up and did go a different route. That would have spoiled something.
Yes, don't go that way. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, good.
Don't do that.
Audrey looked at me like, if you fucking say this, you're dead meat.
Yeah. But the merch we could talk about.
Merch is gonna happen. I'm repping some. Xavier has a hoodie here. We have a whole basics, what we're calling the basics lines of merch, going to be coming out.
And merch is something that right off the rip, like we're not super focused on it. We are going to have like logo tees and like the essentials, like he just said, the basics. But in the future, that is going to be a major part of our identity. That's my goal anyway. But we have such a strong visual language that we think that would transfer nicely to an apparel arm. And so right now it's not going to be a huge focus, but there will be custom pieces coming out maybe sooner than you think. Limited edition stuff, all the things that the hoodie selling orgs do will probably be a part of that, but on our own terms.
Yeah.
Look, it's a way to generate revenue, so it's goofy to not do it. Mm-hmm. The reason we didn't want to do exclusive drops and stuff right off the rip is because that's not what we want to be. Yeah, I mean, we don't want to be like, hey, we're this new org. Hey, we got 300 followers. Can you go buy our exclusive hoodie for $120? We're not going to do that. Hey, buy my mixtape. You're in New York City. Here you go. Yep. Awesome. Thank you. That's $20. Take that back. Yeah, so I think that, and something I will say that I'm really excited about, no details specific, but this is something that I know Audrey's really passionate about, Xavier's really passionate about, I'm super passionate about, is Vandyl is also rooted a lot in collaboration, and that's with artists, designers, musicians, whatever that may be. You can absolutely expect some crossover with those other industries and other forms of art, because one of our main pillars, we just don't spell it out, is art. We care about art, artistic value. Mm-hmm. That's how we, express ourselves. Yeah. Absolutely, the creativity of it. And so with that passion comes knowing, and that being our industry, comes knowing some of the most talented people, at least in Ohio.
We have a lot of friends doing some crazy stuff. And the collabs are going to be off the wall. And trust me.
I would say that that's where like merch apparel, you'll see some crossovers there for sure. Mm-hmm. Because why not, let your friends flex. And
the store on our website is not only going to have clothes. It could have art pieces. It could have one-of-ones paintings. Yeah. We don't know where it's going to go, but we plan on going there. So keep an eye on the store for more than just hoodies and t-shirts. Like it's going to be something different for sure.
And we want to build something that you guys are proud to rep, right? So we don't want to just, set out and go, hey, yeah, we first of all, I know they feel the exact same way. Unbelievably appreciative of what you guys have shown to us so far. It feels like we're doing this big thing. I know deep down right now we're small, we're growing, we're rolling. Things are looking great for us, but that's only because of the support everyone's showing up to this point. You guys are seriously incredible so far. You're engaging. You've always got questions. You're sliding into our DMs, asking us questions. We love that. We want to make sure we can engage with you guys as much as possible, answer the questions when we can and when we want to. Mm-hmm. And with that, we want to build this brand, something you want to rep. We want community to be one of our core values. And within that starts with you guys. So in the future, when Xavier's talking about art pieces, we want you guys to go on our shop and be like, damn, what's the next piece going to be? Yeah. I want that on my wall because I believe in their mission and this team. And whether you're following a future team of ours or a future creator of ours or just us, and you like the brand, you like the way it looks from an artistic standpoint, we want you to be proud to rep that, right? And I think that's something a lot of esports orgs don't really care about, is like, they're just selling to a consumer. They're not selling to another community member. And that's something that we definitely want to focus on. So I just real quick tangent wanted to say thank you guys so far, because it's been unbelievable the support that we're getting. I mean,
it's very encouraging.
It's overwhelming in some ways too. So definitely be on the lookout for merch and apparel coming pretty soon. And that's leaning into the website question. Content creator links. To be totally fair, we haven't really talked about content creator links that much. I don't see why not in the future. It's just not something we're focusing on right this second. And I think it's because, how do I say this without getting into the weeds of things? We want to make sure that we're focusing on who we need to focus on one at a time, right? So if that's a team, which it's not, that team is who we want to be focusing on right then. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's something else you will probably not be seeing from us is we are scouting.
Yeah, I think the thing, just like we described with working with artists and things like that, everything we do is a collaboration. We're not just going to put our logo on someone's stream and call them a part of the team. Like, that's not how it works. No. That's not how it's ever going to work. So if we work with content creators, we're going to work with them to help them. They're going to hopefully help us, and we're going to make stuff together. It's not going to be like slap your logo on their stuff and call it done. We're not an agency. We're not representing artists or content creators or anything. We're working with them, or we want to. We're not,
Absolutely. Couple of the next ones we touched on: plans for sponsors and sponsorships. Yeah, I mean, yes, right? Like, if you understand the esports economic landscape, unless you're 100 Thieves or Liquid, you're not making your bulk revenue and how you operate and your operating costs are not coming from merch sales. Okay, even if you sell $700,000, $1 million worth of merch a year, well, that's going to cover a couple of people's salaries, but some of these teams are hundreds of people, staff that you don't even know about. And that's not even including their streamers and their teams and all that stuff. And where the money actually comes from is the sponsorship. So yes, of course we are looking into that. We are approaching that just like we approach everything else, and that's methodically and with intention. Okay, so we are shooting big, and that's just kind of who we are and what we're going to do. We do not want to come off as an org that feels small town and small league. We want to make a splash right away, and I think we are. And with that, we want to be able to take concrete things to sponsors that they're going to want to see. And that's some boring stuff that we're not going to get into here. But to answer your question, yes, we are absolutely looking into sponsorships. Yep. So to kind of close things out, one thing I do want to touch on with everyone is the future of Vandyl. And I want to talk pretty high level here. I'm not saying like detailed, here's this, and this that you can expect, but a couple of things that you might be on the lookout for, say within the next 4 to 6 weeks moving forward. And first and foremost, obviously, this, but okay, don't laugh. I just hear, I'm sure in the audio, in someone's ear, Audrey's just going, laughing at me. The one thing that we talked about earlier is the website and apparel store. And I do want to just really preface it with apparel for now. Eventually we'll house other merch, art pieces.
Just the basics for now.
Just the basics. Now that was I do want to touch on, that was a highly requested thing. We did not plan on releasing the apparel store this soon. Cause again, that's not something we were like, we need to just get people apparel. But all of us got massive amounts of DMs and texts and, family and friends also wanting to support us. So we thought, well, if people want to support us that way, that would be incredible. And it just helps Vandyl in the long run. So please be on the lookout for that if you're interested in any Vandyl related apparel. More to come on that soon. I don't want to give you guys a direct date because right now, again, it's the three of us. So as things come, and it's not like the most top of mind thing that we're working on right this second. The one thing that we are absolutely working on, we're not going to tell you what it is. It does involve the Halo space, but I guarantee you if I asked everyone on Twitter what they think that announcement is, no one would guess it.
No. Not the whole thing anyway.
If they did, I would be shocked. Yeah, not the whole thing. So I would be looking absolutely within the next 4 weeks for a major announcement in the Halo space. Outside of that, you can, get ready for the BTS video that we're putting together for the launch video, which I think is going to be really, really awesome to see, especially if you're a creator, you're an aspiring creator, if you're someone who just likes movies or short films or just the process behind kind of I would definitely look at it more of the artistic approach behind what we did with that video and how we did it, especially from like the concept stage to the shooting to VFX and sound design. It's all going to be in there. And the
restrictions that we had in general.
And the restrictions. That was all recorded.
I'm just going to tell you the whole story of how that piece of content came to be. And it is a story.
It's absolutely a story. How could it not be in the middle of a pandemic? Right. On top of that, I'm not going to give the details on what this is, but there is going to be a more consistent series that I would consider more of our eye candy thing. Not as high level produced. It's still going to be really well done. I'm super excited about it, but that's going to be a more ongoing thing that you guys can see. Not going to give you more details on that. Not going to tell you the name, anything like that, but that'll be pretty consistent. The podcast, obviously, we're going to try to be as consistent as possible. I know that we did get questions about a lot of Halo related things. I want to hold off on Halo because I think Halo is in itself a podcast episode.
We're going to do a whole episode, hopefully very soon, about that.
I would like to make an announcement before we do a Halo podcast. That way we can talk a little more in depth on our decision making behind that. True. But I think we can make that work. I think you'll see this podcast, you'll see announcement that we're not telling you about, and then you might see another podcast
shortly thereafter
that really goes into detail of our thought process and decision making behind what we're doing in Halo. And lastly, I do just want to say to everyone in the Halo space specifically, my heart has always been with Halo. That's how I got my competitive gaming start. My editing career, and this is not a joke, is off the back of the Halo montage community. And I'm sure most of you know me from that space. Some of you may know me from like more of a competitive space, but Halo gave me a career, and that's no joke. That's legitimately like my first editing reel was a bunch of Halo edits that I did. And so
that would have been so awesome if you would have sent Space Junk a Halo montage. Hey, I would have been like, hire this kid.
Yeah, here's my work. Instead I gave you like...
I remember your interview. I was in your like meet and greet or
the
whatever.
Entire live action department.
Yeah, we were all there. There was 3 of us. It's not like a whole thing, but I do remember meeting him for the first time.
Yeah. So crazy. Long time ago now. That's what's crazy is like
almost
it's been
5 or 6 years
now.
now.
It's insane. And so I do want to speak to the Halo community for just a second, saying, when we decided to enter this space, it's because we were passionate about it, right? And I know that more often than not, you're seeing gaming orgs or esports orgs entering Halo. They pop up, they garner a little bit of a following, they make a bunch of promises, they die off. The creators are left hanging, streamers, players left hanging, and everyone's going, cool, well, I supported that org for like 3 weeks, and then they just kind of disappeared. And I want to invite other people to absolutely enter the Halo space as an organization. It doesn't have to be your only game, but I absolutely recommend it, especially with Infinite coming out. But please do your due diligence and make it work. Because I think the only reason we're seeing some early success is because we have legitimately been working on this thing for about a year now.
On the foundation, really.
On the foundation. It's not like we released it and then started working on stuff. Yeah. Like, we didn't even start telling people we were doing this until like
way
like 5,
into the
6
process.
August, something like that of last year.
And even then, we were only telling people that
very
were
specific.
we were choosing who we were telling.
Absolutely. And so please do it the right way if you do enter. When you enter, know we're going to be waiting. And that's just a little salt I'm throwing in there. The already established Halo orgs, we are absolutely coming for you guys. From a team standpoint, when we put a team together, we're going to make sure this isn't some tier 3 team. We're going to be entering Halo to compete. We're going to be entering Halo to win. Absolutely. Without question. We want to be winning when Infinite comes out. To our future creators and streamers and whoever else we might sign, just know that they will always be the best at what they do. At least in our opinion, the people that we sign are going to be the best because that's what we want to be. We want to be the best in Halo. We want to be the best in gaming. We want to be the best in content creation and the future. And I think the future is going to be Vandyl. And I'm really fucking excited for what we've got coming to you guys super soon.
Oh man, there's a lot of announcements coming. Like when he said all that stuff, like we're not talking about like little, like here's another
cute
drawing that we did. Like no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like moves. We're making moves for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so pumped. Can't wait for you guys to see what we're working on because it's the three of us. It's our blood, sweat, and tears to do this thing, and we've been grinding at it for a year to make it happen and to build a community. And that's ultimately what we want and what we're striving for is, you know, we want you to proudly wear something you buy from us. We want you actively when lands, please God, when lands come back, we want you there repping Vandyl and being a fan of Vandyl for what we represent. You know what I mean? So we want you to represent what we're representing. Mm-hmm. And so we're pushing in the right direction. I can't wait to show you guys what we're working on.
Absolutely.
Anything else from you guys? If not, we can probably wrap it up.
Yeah, no, I think you said it all right there, man. Yeah, we're coming. And
get ready to be vandalized.
Yeah, vandalized.
Trademark pending.
That's not a threat. We're nice people. But yeah,
we don't put graffiti on walls.
Maybe we'll
where
turn
they
vandalized into a good thing.
Yeah,
when you get vandalized,
we're gonna change the meaning of a whole word.
Who knows? Maybe Urban Dictionary is going to have a different meaning for Vandyl.
Just take this away from me. Just gonna.
Cool, guys. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for the first official episode of the Vandyl Podcast. We cannot thank you enough for the support you guys are showing us so far. If you aren't already doing so, please be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We're working on it, but the handles are different. If you're not following us on Twitter, it is at Vandyl, Vandyl. And if you're not following us on Instagram, it's the same thing except gaming. So Vandyl Gaming, one word, no space, no underscores, no special characters. Instagram is where we're going to be housing a bunch of really cool content, art pieces, announcements, of course, and our stories. And then Twitter is going to be more day-to-day information, announcements, that kind of stuff, news, anything like that. And then unfortunately, we don't have our mark that we can get our unique URL, but you can find our YouTube. We've recently posted it on Instagram and Twitter. I'm pretty sure our Instagram bio will actually send you directly to our YouTube.
Hopefully you're watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, this will be on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening, go to the YouTube because there's video to this podcast.
It is visual. You can see our faces.
Yeah. We
also,
are real people.
On YouTube, please give us a sub if you haven't done so already. Like this video. I think that helps with the algorithm, if I'm not mistaken. So be sure to give it a like, share it around. We really appreciate the support you guys have given us so far. So cannot wait to show you guys what we've been working on. And until next time, guys, see you later. Peace.
Finger guns.
Finger guns.